About 3 years ago, Bill Rooney was spending close to 3/4 of his time trying to grow better grain sorghum. Now this head of the sorghum breeding program at Texas A&M University spends that much time mapping genes for energy sorghum. This plant is not grown for its heads of grain, but its leaves and stalks that can be turned into biofuels. This tall sorghum is expected to become an even greater focus in the months and years ahead.
The markets and the commercial products from some of these research efforts could be commercialized as early as next year, in 2010.
But having the seed doesn't necessarily mean it's time to plant. With much research across the country on the genomics and genetics of energy crops, there hasn't been as much on how this crop will get from the field to the fuel tank and all points in between. The Texas A&M Bioenergy Program is trying to change that by looking at practical solutions to help farmers produce these crops and deliver them to biorefineries.
It's going to have to fit into your system in terms of your land, of your rotational patterns, your equipment needs. You don't want to have to go out and buy a whole new fleet of equipment to do this.
By using implements already found on many farms and ranches like balers, rakes, and harvesters, it will make it easier for producers to introduce energy crops into their operations. They even turned to the cotton module builder, which was invented by Texas A&M back in the 70s, in hopes of compacting the chopped sorghum for more efficient transport of the crop.
It's fitting quite nicely. There's still some rough edges that need to be smooth, but we're seeing that we can take that practice and adapt it into the bioenergy program as part of the production process.
All this plays into the question of sustainability. Biocrops will have to be produced in a manner that does not impact livestock production, which is why all but one of A&M's bioenergy projects is working with new feedstocks that will take the pressure off grain-based biofuels. But also, how and where will these crops be grown? What will the input cost be over traditional crops? And how will producers keep up with the demands of biorefineries? Most elevators only receive grain for about a month and a half, where these biorefineries will need to run all day, every day, all year long.
Really the key here is not to focus on one crop. It's going to take a multitude of crops. It's going to take a group of producers or cooperative of producers working in collaboration with these industrial plants in order to supply that plant.
But you need to connect the dots from the genetics to the agronomics to the machine systems to the conversion technology and then to the policy issues.
Policy issues which continue to be hotly debated a long way from the turn rows. As the U.S. Senate continues to consider the energy bill, farmers and ranchers know it will cause their cost to increase because of the cap-and-trade program. And while some of this will be offset when prices begin to rise at the grocery store, much of the extra expense will not be passed on by the farmer since he has little control over commodity prices. Cap-and-trade will also be a defining factor in alternative energy production.
As a producer, I'm very concerned about the impacts on agriculture of cap-and-trade. But cap-and-trade could drive how we produce and use biomass for energy conversion. How that comes out of Congress will dictate, I think, to a certain extent, how fast bioenergy crops produce.
Whether it's tall sorghum or switchgrass or even the micro-algae plantations currently under experimentation, it will likely take everything working as one to make fuels of tomorrow even a remote possibility. Reporting from College Station, Texas, I'm Ed Wolff for Voices of Agriculture.